allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Up first is the approval of the warrant.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All those against? 5-0. We have 2 meeting minutes, April 1st and April 8th.
I move we approve the meeting minutes from April 1st, 2025.
Second.
Questions?
Yeah, there's just a point needs clarification under the survey. I was talking about mandatory reporting situations resulting from the survey, not that we need to complete the survey. It reads that way.
Okay, do you want to suggest an edit?
Yeah, so move that we amend it to say, I was speaking about mandatory reporting situations and how we deal with the
Was that April 1st?
Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Sure. Second.
Okay, that's fine. Any more comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye. I abstain. I was not at the meeting.
I vote aye, so it's 4-0-1.
I move we approve the meeting minutes of April 8th, 2025.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, 5-0. Now we have our student report, who I'm hopeful has some exciting news to share.
Okay, so for the seniors, we're just selling prom tickets, which is May 9th, and they're focusing on organizing the senior field night, which is May 27th. The juniors have some feedback on their egg fundraiser, which went very well because they delivered Easter eggs outside of people's houses the night before Easter, and they made a lot of money, and people seem to like it. And then the sophomores and the freshmen are focusing on semi, which is this week on May 2nd, and their Panera fundraiser is also soon, so they're doing a ton of promo and flyers and things like that. And that's it.
Do you have any news? Do you have any news for us?
Yeah, I'm going to WPI.
Yeah.
So we know you wanted to tell us your news at the last meeting, and somehow that didn't work out, and we felt pretty bad about it. So as a consolation prize, we got you something straight from the bookstore at WPI.
Oh.
Take it out.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Oh, this is great. I was literally just shopping for her. Thank you so much. Get up. Oh, yay. Thank you so much, guys. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Any questions?
Just very proud of you.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
And, contact us who have connections there, so seriously.
Are they still doing the Google Doc of where folks are going? Yeah. Oh, okay. Somebody has to share that with me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take the microphone down on.
Oh. Good night. Good night.
Yours is muted. Okay.
Just say like Chris, say something.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Testing.
Testing. Can you hear us? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing.
I'm tabbing the mic.
1, 2, 3. There we go.
All right, yep.
Here now.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, it's loud.
All right, do we have any subcommittee reports?
We do.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite subject, the Marshall Summers Middle School field project. To date, we have not secured our notice of intent from conservation. The last meeting was on the 8th where we were supposed to appear. We were pushed off the agenda as the flagging revealed a larger wetland area than we anticipated. What that's going to require is either a adjustment of the field plan or alternate courses of action to engage the town to keep the original footprint of the field. So we need to schedule a meeting to get the committee's vote on which way they want to move and what alternate configurations we'd be willing to consider, and then I'll bring it back to the committee.
Mr. Brooks, so again, just so the project had sort of 2 fields associated with it.
Correct.
So conservation is saying there's not room for 2 fields? I'm trying to oversimplify it, but, okay.
That's correct, yep.
All right.
Any other subcommittee?
Ways and Means.
Oh, sure.
We met with Ways and Means on our warrant articles. Was that just yesterday?
Yes.
It was yesterday. It seems like a week ago. And we got positive votes on all of our warrant articles. They weren't all unanimous, but we got positive votes. Well, one of them was a tie. It was the scoreboards was 2-2.
That's the subcommittee, Madam Chair.
The subcommittee report. So that has to go to the full committee, and hopefully they will support all of our warrant articles also.
All right.
I don't see anybody on.
Anybody on from Ways and Means?
No.
Nope.
Cheyenne's in India.
Okay. It's fine.
Madam Chair, I have another announcement, if that's
sure.
okay. I was just going to ask, this is difficult. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for the communities of Concord and Carlisle. They lost 3 seniors on a spring break trip in Florida, and nothing is more devastating for a community or for a school community. I know my colleague, Concord Carlisle, the faculty, the staff there, there are many connections between Burlington and Concord Carlisle. So just in the memory of Jimmy McIntosh, Hannah Wasserman, and Maisie O'Donnell, and wishing their families peace, and it's just such a difficult time for our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other announcements? No. I have a statement prepared by our school council. I know that many people are here tonight to discuss the school survey. At the outset, school council has advised us at this time we are limited on how much we can discuss. Since the school district has hired an independent consultant and investigator to review the 2025 survey administration, which is ongoing, and there are federal complaints that have been filed and are pending. Despite these pending issues, the school administration did recently send all parents an email acknowledging that errors and mistakes occurred, and that we recognize the critical importance of having clear communication with families, especially regarding parents and students' right to opt out of such surveys. Despite rumors and reports indicating a larger number, the middle school administration at this time has only been able to confirm 5 instances whereby students whose parents opted them out participated in the survey. A website link has been provided to all parents addressing the questions raised during school committee meetings, which will continue to be updated. The school committee and administration remain committed to transparency, accountability, and the well-being of all students, and we value our continued collaboration with families in the broader community. The school district is no longer contracting with JSI, and there will be additional changes moving forward. As we voted unanimously at a previous meeting, no school surveys will be given until a new policy is written and approved by the school committee. Again, as council has advised, we need to let the internal review and complaints move forward at this point and be completed, and there will be additional public discussions at a later time. We will allow 30 minutes of public comment tonight, but then we'll move on to other necessary school committee business. As a reminder, each speaker has only 3 minutes and then is required to vacate the speaker seat. Public comment is provided only as a courtesy, not a right, and if the public cannot maintain order, then public comment will be ended. Thank you for your time this evening and for attending tonight's meeting. I'm going to alternate in the room and online, so folks online would like to speak, please raise your hand in the WebEx, and I'll alternate there. It is 7:11. I'll go to 7:45, and then public comment will be closed. I do have a timer. If we cannot maintain order, it includes not vacating the seat, it includes shouting from the audience, then public comment will be ended. Can I see a show of hands for folks who wish to speak tonight? I have no one online.
No.
I'm going to start in the back row.
Start in 30 minutes.
Okay.
There's nobody online with a hand up.
All right.
Good evening, members of the school board, Mr. Superintendent, and my fellow parents. My name is John Lyons, and I'm here tonight not only as a parent of a 12-year-old student at the middle school, but as a voice for every family in this district who felt that they were blindsided, betrayed, and appalled by this administration's decision to expose our young children to a highly inappropriate sexual survey. This type of inappropriate sexual survey has no place in the school. I echo the sentiments of my fellow parents in stating that the school should teach our children the academic subjects and leave the teaching of values to the parents. This decision in regard to the survey has been called a mistake. It appears that even you as school board members have admitted to some degree that this mistake was allowed to have the survey put in front of our children. But let me be clear. What happened with the survey was not a minor mistake or a minor oversight. This was a gross lapse in judgment, a fundamental breach of trust, and a failure to uphold the most basic responsibility that falls on this administration, to protect the children in our school system. But what is even more alarming is the lack of accountability that has followed. No one has stood up and accepted responsibility. Instead, we've seen finger-pointing, excuses, and even silence. We've been promised transparency, but yet we've been hindered in obtaining records pertaining to the survey, including being required to pay $875 for such information. Lack of transparency, blaming others, and silence are not leadership, but complicity. Mr. Superintendent, you are the leader of this district. You chose to opt into this type of survey several years ago. You approved this year's highly inappropriate and offensive survey. The responsibility ultimately falls on your shoulders. Leadership is not just about delegating authority. It's about accepting accountability when things go wrong. Things have gone terribly wrong in regard to this survey and the effect that it's had on our children and now in our community. Our school system is near the top of the state in what we pay for cost per student. Yet our elementary schools, middle school, and the high school could be doing much better in proficiency and rankings. Our enrollment is low. People are talking about leaving the school at an alarming rate, and I believe morale is at an all-time low. Tonight, I am calling on the school board to act in defense of Tonight, I'm calling on the school board to act not in defense of titles or offices, but in defense of our children. We cannot allow our district to normalize this kind of content for our youngest learners. We cannot allow this issue to be brushed aside as a miscommunication or a clerical error, or just a simple mistake. Therefore, speaking on behalf of myself and countless other parents, I urge this board to table at the appropriate time, but as soon as possible, and to initiate a vote of no confidence in the superintendent. Although this may appear to be a personal attack, it is not. It is simply a necessary step to restore trust and to show our community that protecting children is more important than protecting reputations.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
The front row. Yep.
request, and it's probably 3 minutes, due to dyslexia, allowing me to read just a little bit slowly. Just an accommodation, if that's possible, but I'll be as quick as possible. Dear school committee members, Burlington residents, parents, educators, and vested
Can you
parties.
identify yourself?
I'm Jamie Greitzer, sorry.
Okay.
Before I start, I come with a caveat that I was taught to treat others the way I want to be treated. If I can't be heard today due to my community members heckling me, I promise to sing Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen at the top of my voice for the rest of the discussion. Nobody wants that. I promise you. I also promise to stay quiet for the rest of the meeting once I am done, if given the same respect. My name is Jamie Greitzer, and I am the extremely proud parent of 3 Burlington public school students, one of which is a 6th grader at MSMS. I'm here today in the hopes of building a bridge to move our students forward, because that's what's at the heart of this, isn't it? Our children. That's what most people are here in the room today for. I say most because this unfortunate event has attracted the extremists in droves whose motivation isn't the children of Burlington. Many don't even live here. Burlington, we are a small-knit community, the kind of people who start a wine ferry program during COVID to encourage connection, a car scavenger hunt to raise funds to residents in need, the kind of neighbors who help raise each other's kids and show up for each other. We are not all the same. We are so diverse. I'm a practicing Jew from Long Island who considered herself a liberal snowflake before October 7th, 2023. Maybe just a tad bit less now. However, many of my closest friends, people I love and respect, probably watching tonight, shocking as it may seem, are Republicans. Maybe not so shocking after last year. I digress. The point I'm trying to make is that it's possible to feel very differently, have totally different points of view, and still love and take care of each other. Hard. I learned that lesson especially in these last 18 months. It's about listening when it's difficult to hear, respect, and above all else, love. Please hold on to this as I have my say. When my 11-year-old, at the time, she'd kill me if I didn't identify her as a 12-year-old, came home after taking the survey, it was a normal day. Nothing was different than any other day. A week later, when all the kids were talking about it in our carpool, it had become a thing. A thing because parents were talking in front of their children and using provocative terms like anal sex, sex toys, etc., as if that is any different than any other kind of sex. Guess what? It's not. What are the chances that the parents of Burlington first use this one opportunity to say things in front of their children they do not want them to hear? Nil to none. Kids are sponges. They hear everything and absorb more. Remember when your 2-year-old cursed at the driver in front of you? Yeah, I do too.
All done. Thank you. Of the second to last row, in the blue.
Hi, good evening. My name is Christine Scola. My husband Michael and I have had 6 children go through the Burlington school system. We now have grandchildren who are living in Burlington and may go to Burlington schools in the future. A big reason why people have lost trust in our school system is because there are many people who don't feel represented at all. There's a lot of talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but we feel that you're anything but equitable in your responses to the concerns of more conservative parents. While you've had a swift response and even sometimes public letters of apology in response to complaints from other parents, it's not acceptable for parents to get no response or to have public statements put on Facebook from people like Burlington Education Association President Sean Musselman about how we should be more respectful when those same parents and their children have been blatantly disrespected. We would like to all be able to get along, but if we didn't feel disrespected, and I'm sorry, I'm shaking, I'm not comfortable doing this at all. How soft-spoken are you when your children have been hurt by someone? How respectful would you be, or how respectful would you speak if someone crossed the line and asked your children totally inappropriate questions that they didn't understand or that made them uncomfortable? It's convenient to gaslight parents who are upset and call them hateful because they're angry. But people have a right to be angry. And what we hate is the school system using diversity and equity as a means to highlight the beliefs of some while devaluing the beliefs of others. There was mention at the last meeting that many parents' concerns are based in religion or politics. This has nothing to do with religion or politics. Religion and prayer were removed from school for a reason. Although I would love the school day to start with prayer to ask God to bless our children and the faculty and the schools, there was no way to make every student feel represented, nor is there enough time to accommodate for that. So it was removed completely. Each family is allowed to practice their faith the way they see fit outside of school, and I agree with that. Likewise, when it comes to topics of morality and sexuality, every parent has the right to introduce their children to sensitive material at a time and in a way they see fit to do so. You can't possibly satisfy everyone in this area, so why do we keep crossing this line in school? If an employer gave out this survey to their staff, it would be considered sexual harassment. So why are we giving this to children? One of the reasons stated for the need for these surveys was to determine if there's a need to introduce these topics to children in younger grades. What kind of person could possibly believe that this could be helpful for any child? I know parents who have spoken to you before about their concerns regarding the content in these surveys. Regrettably, I didn't step up to be counted as one of those parents in the past. I'm thankful for those parents. Instead of hearing the concerns and addressing the problem, they were ignored. And in this case, the survey got worse after parents questioned it, which goes to show just how non-equitable the system is. There are many parents like me who were upset in the past but let others speak for them. I hope that more parents will make their voices heard from here on out. There is an easy solution.
Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Barbara Mantier. Tonight, I want to use my time to go on record for the lack of confidence and trust I have in almost all of you that sit before me. This survey was just one of the many things that Burlington Public Schools has deceived the community about, and if it takes my personal accounts to show that, then here I am. I was born and raised in Burlington. I'm a 2003 graduate of BPS. I was so excited for my children to go to the same school system that I did, until I didn't. My daughter started kindergarten in 2018. She was blessed with some of the best teachers that I've ever seen, most of which who no longer work for the district. At first, I didn't understand why they would want to leave, but as the years have gone by, it started to click. When I was younger, Burlington was a district of integrity, pride, hard work, and an amazing school system. Over the last decade, I can't say that it holds the same reputation. Test scores have fallen, teachers have left, trust is gone, but nothing has changed. Burlington has rested on its laurels long enough, and now what you're seeing is citizens rising up to demand answers to return to the greatness that once was. I want to reiterate, despite the shortcomings in leadership, my children have had wonderful experiences thus far. It's not the teachers in Burlington. If anything, it's the teachers that are holding it together. Being a teacher and a union president myself, I have seen how successful school communities, superintendents, parent communities can work together. For whatever reason, Burlington doesn't appear to have that same relationship or mutual respect. Over the years and more recently, the last few weeks, 4 out of the 5 of you school committee members don't seem to be here for the best interest of our children. You seem to be here for your own vested interests. I have had major instances where I have given up on this leadership. 5 years ago, I thought the lack of quality literacy instruction was my biggest challenge, and boy, was I about to be surprised. Although I'm excited to see CKLA adopted into our elementary schools, I worry about the use of fidelity that you use all the time, Dr. Chen. It's not about fidelity, it's about strategic implementation. Teachers need to bring the curriculum to life. We don't have the time in our elementary schools because our day is so
Please
short.
address the chair.
Sorry. Another event was in 2020 when COVID hit. Burlington didn't seem to care. You turned your back on its students and its families. The biggest event that launched distrust is very personal. It was October of 23 when I accidentally found out that my son had 20/80 vision. I would have known a year sooner if it wasn't for the ineptitude of the lead nurse. My son had failed a vision exam in the fall of 2020. By state law, I was to be notified, but I wasn't. I immediately wrote a letter to Dr. Conti and Dr. Chen expressing my anger. At that point, I gave you the benefit of the doubt that you would talk to them and review policy and procedure, and lately I wonder if it ever happened. As a teacher, we are constantly being evaluated, and every 2 years we have a summative evaluation that rates us. Superintendents are also evaluated in a similar fashion, and I urge the school committee to take a deeper look at Dr. Conti's evaluation cycle and be honest while doing so. Is he moving this district forward in a way that will ultimately drive our district to a higher standard and a brighter future? I am formally requesting a copy of Dr. Conti's most recent evaluation and look forward to the data that summarizes the district plan of 22 to 25. As for you members of the school committee, there are no evaluations, but there will be a time when your your term is done and you will be up for re-election. I hope that the voters in this town are listening, and I hope that they remember all of the ways, not just this survey, that you have let our children down and evaluate you by voting for change.
Yeah, come on up. Just tell me your name, okay?
Hello, my name is William Manka, and I'm going to adjust this. Hello, my name is William Manka, and I'm a 7th grader at Marshall Simons. I want to discuss some of the experiences I have had with the school system and its dysfunctional school board. Now, I'm not going to talk about the bookmarks or the LGBTQ controversy, as it will bring even more divide to the community, but where the line was entirely crossed was the survey. It was disgusting and purely vile. What I want to talk about is how the excuses some of you made it so much worse. Something recited many times was that none of us read the questions. This shows so much disregard and negligence on your and the Wellness Committee's parts. None of you read a survey that a different company made. What if the survey had images? What if the survey had videos? You all wouldn't have known. The Wellness Board was supposed to review the questions every 2 years, but the survey in 2023 had the same obscene content that in the most recent survey. The only difference is the addition of toys and props, which is not a major concern in the grand scheme of things. Furthermore, previous surveys like the 2017 and 2021 versions were much more tame, asking questions about child-appropriate topics such as riding bikes with helmets and going to the dentist without any perverted descriptions. How did we not notice the change? The school board was supposed to review biannually, yet the 2023 and 2025 surveys were both horrendous. With the tobacco and alcohol questions, the way you all made it sound normal has affected the student population. Questions make it seem as if you haven't had more than a few sips of alcohol before you're 13, you're behind, or asking what flavor alcohol products we had are even worse. And the excuse you give is that this survey questions change based on the answers that we give. But without answering any questions, I was asked what flavor of tobacco products I used. These questions have started to make people at school talk about drugs more, and rarely in a negative way. They're getting normalized because of you. I am here to encourage the public to make a change. Next election, please vote these clowns out of office who violated our rights, like the Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment, out of office, or vote in a leader who will. Knowing them personally, the students of Burlington do not favor any single one of you, and they despise the long history of problems you have, and you have only brought negative changes to our school district. I strongly incentivize you to step down, or encourage, sorry. I am not anti-Burlington. I'm the opposite of that. However, in order for a town to thrive, we need fewer people like you and more people with even a little bit of responsibility. Thank you.
In the middle? Yep.
My name is Sherry Markle. Thank you for allowing me to speak. So I wanted to make 2 points. One is on the importance of ensuring that this situation does not stop the school from offering high-quality surveys and research that enable us to understand the issues affecting youth and to work to address them. Second is the need to make sure that as a community, we do not use this as an excuse to diminish and erase the identities of LGBTQ kids in our schools. First, I agree, as others have said, that there was a huge error this year with the YRBS opt-out, and that in the future there needs to be the chance to change the one question in the survey that included definitions related to sexual activity. However, since the 1990s nationwide and since 2012 in Burlington, the YRBS has been used not to harm children, but to ensure that we have data and facts to understand what is needed to protect them. Having independently analyzed data is critical to make sure accurate science is informing our decisions, not not individuals, people's opinions, or politics. The results of this survey have been used to create programs in Burlington to support social and emotional well-being of all children and to provide them knowledge to help with wellness, self-esteem, online safety, and so many areas that are critical to protecting them. Second, a primary area that surveys like this enable is to show specific groups that faced heightened risks so that we can put extra support in place for them. This is precisely how we know and have known for many years that it is critically important to make sure that LGBTQ kids feel safe in school, because this is specifically a place where they have not been safe. If you look at the data from the 2023 YRBS survey in middle school, specifically in Burlington, that was just posted, it shows that LGBTQ plus students were significantly more likely than heterosexual students to skip school in the past 30 days because they felt it would be unsafe at school or on the way to or from school. LGBTQ students were significantly more likely than heterosexual students to have been bullied on school property in the past 12 months. This is in our middle school. LGBTQ and TGD, which they call in the survey transgender and gender diverse students, are more likely to report that their mental health was not good, that they had experienced depression, and that they had seriously considered attempting suicide. Finally, something that seems specifically relevant given the discussion here is that LGBTQ middle school students in Burlington were significantly less likely than heterosexual students to have a family adult to talk to about a problem. What this seems to make clear is the importance of continuing to see our diverse students, to continue to include disaggregated questions about identity, and to continue to visibly show support in our schools, because this is what can make the difference that actually keeps children safe from harm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My name's Carrie Malm. I have 2 children in the district, one at the middle school, one at Fox Hill. I'm here tonight to express serious concerns regarding several troubling contradictions between statements made at recent school committee meetings and the information posted on the BPS's website. The response posted by the district to the public's questions is not only insufficient, it is insulting and inaccurate. We have repeatedly heard that this one survey incident was an oversight or a mistake. But by the district's own published documentation, this was no mistake. And quite honestly, we're sick of hearing that. It was a deliberate, long-standing process overseen by many stakeholders, including some of you who are now claiming to be unaware or shocked at the content. Dr. Conti has signed the contracts to implement this survey since 2017. The questions became significantly more graphic in 2023, but that was still approved. He signed off on the contract again in 2025. The false claims of shock and outrage about the content by this committee is offensive to us as parents. You have all demonstrated approval of this survey for years. The only reason it's being addressed now is because of the public outrage it has garnered after the parents saw the actual questions posted on Facebook. I also want to address the issue of teacher responsibility. According to the district website, JSI provided a script for teachers to read prior to the administration of the survey to students. The script informed students that the survey was optional, that they could skip questions or stop taking it at any time. However, every student I have spoken with said that no such script was read. Without that guidance, students who are taught to follow teacher instructions believe the survey was mandatory. As a teacher myself, I can say with certainty that if I were given a script ahead of time that was mandated by the district, I would have read it, even if only to protect myself professionally. I strongly suspect that no such script was ever provided to teachers, because I do not believe our dedicated Burlington teachers would have disregarded those instructions. I ask the public not to place blame on our teachers. More often than not, we as teachers are following directives passed down to us. We speak up when we feel something isn't right, but more often our hands are tied by administrative decisions and one-sided union representation. I urge the committee to take responsibility for these issues, provide our community with the honest, clear answers it deserves, and take actionable steps forward to regain our trust. My husband and I have prided ourselves on raising 2 kind, caring, well-mannered, and hardworking students. I am trusting you with the 2 most precious things I have. It is criminal for you to corrupt them against our will.
Thing. 7 minutes. Can you do a 3-minute one?
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Simeone, and I was an 8th grader last year at Marshall Simons Middle School. And I just want to start out by saying that At Marshall Simons Middle School, I have had the best teachers I've ever had. I loved every single one of my teachers, and they did a great job teaching me. And what they did not do was educate me on LGBTQ topics and sex topics. That did not once enter the classroom, and as it shouldn't have, and it didn't. So that I had my best year. I just want to say shout out to those teachers for not talking to my class about any of those topics. And that's just sickening. But I also want to say that I don't believe that the survey results are very accurate. Because asking students questions about like anal sex and sex toys, they just think it's funny, okay? I know, because when they just think it's funny. They're like, oh, ha, ha, ha. I'm just going to say, oh, I do this because it's funny. Or, ha, ha, or they're going to lie. Like, someone who does like smokes weed or vapes, and if someone asks them, oh, do you smoke weed or vape, they're not going to tell you the truth. So how do we really know that these results are accurate? My parents raised me to be on alert that adults want to talk to me about sex and other adult topics. And I just want to, that's really it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, last one. Oh my God, good.
Hello, my name is Ted Manka. I don't think I'm going to be doing quite as well as the other Manka that spoke earlier, but thank you for your time tonight. What I wanted to talk about is really the town of Burlington and what is it that we want. I think that there's a foundational conversation that hasn't happened yet, which is what do we want in the school and what do we not want in the school. A lot of people are getting upset about what is in and what's not in, and I would encourage the committee here to consider sending a survey to the parents about what they think belongs in the schools. How much of this extra we'll call extracurricular things belong in our school system. A lot of parents before have said that they wanted reading, writing, and arithmetic, and that's it, and leave the values to the parents at home. I would just challenge the committee to think about it, to consider it, to do that. I looked at some of the numbers that were publicly available. For teacher pay, Burlington is 31st in the state, but 66th in exceeding in math, 150th in exceeding in ELA, and 222nd in exceeding in science. I think that there's a mismatch between what we are spending our time and effort on, and I encourage the committee to converse and get some data from the parents about what we believe belongs in and what we think belongs out. That's all. Thank you.
Rachel Finkel. I want to make it clear I support the changes you're making effort to the opt-out system. I would definitely put a plug in that there is communication in there that the students also get to have that. We are raising middle schoolers and high schoolers to be in charge of their own selves, and they should have the right to be able, if they feel uncomfortable at any point, to say opt out. Having said that, this debacle of the survey has been overshadowed and given an opportunity for too many people to drag the LGBTQ community through the mud and spew hate. To say rainbow stickers, pride, pink triangles, affinity and ally groups push an LGBTQ agenda is just wrong. They share a message of togetherness, care, and safe spaces for everyone. We live in a majority Christian, heterosexual world. There's a robust amount of safe spaces for people who identify as such. But the moment you're not part of those groups, safety becomes a daily concern, and it's important to know who you trust, particularly as a student and a child. A rainbow flag tells me I'm as safe from anti-Semitism as it is to tell a gay friend they're safe from homophobia. It does not mean that the absence of a sticker is unsafe, but the sticker makes it certain, similar to the candles in the windows for the black slaves traveling on the Underground Railroad. To say to keep LGBTQ out of the schools is asking for people to be taken out of schools. People make up the schools. In my classroom, we talk about Christmas, Chasok, Nowruz, Passover, even Sibling Day or baseball's opening day, one of my favorite holidays of the year. Not everyone in my class observes or participates in all those days, but if one person does, they deserve to be seen, and I have to work harder to bring those holidays in and the important days for non-religious connections so that the groups of people in front of me are part of a majority and minority together. No one should have more of a voice. I was taught as a Jewish child in a very Catholic community that Merry Christmas was a message of kindness. Sure, when the random person I got that said Happy Holidays, it filled my heart in a different way because I was seen. But I never was angry at Merry Christmas. So, but I would like people to imagine these 8 days of Hanukkah. If everyone in the world was given the greeting of Happy Hanukkah, would that same gift of kindness in a very dark time of the year, or would it be seen as a Jewish agenda? When I see a rainbow flag or a pink triangle or anything of inclusiveness, I see it as an invitation and celebration of people. The LGBT community is one of the most welcoming, loving groups of people. A group who welcomes everyone, and that's what I teach the rainbow flag to my children means.
Public comment? We're all set. Yep. Thank you. We're moving on the agenda.
Excuse me? It's 7:42. There's still 3 minutes left. You said 7:45.
You set a timer, it's down to 0.
You said 7:45.
Fine, one more. Let's go ahead. That's final.
Enough. Educators are in school to teach essential academic and life skills that will help children succeed as adults. Their role is not to promote or discuss sexuality, LGBTQ topics, or any other personal ideologies. While it's important to support all students in feeling safe and respected, education should remain focused on reading, math, science, and other core subjects. Confusing personal advocacy with professional responsibility blurs this purpose of education. Let's keep schools centered on learning, not social agendas. The definition of grooming from the Merriam-Webster's dictionary is to build a trusting relationship with a minor in order to exploit them, especially for non-consensual sexual activity. Mr. Musselman says teachers are students of history. No one knows what, and he also said that they are persecuted as the LGBT community. No one knows that persecution means better than Armenians.
Who are you?
My name is Hilda Darian. So let's see how well you know your history. In 1915, 1.5 million Armenians, including my great-grandparents, were brutally murdered in the Armenian genocide committed by present-day Turkey. We were targeted for simply being Armenian, men, women, and children alike. We were starved, crucified, pregnant mothers bayoneted, and tortured on death marches through the Syrian desert. Some Armenians that managed to flee were able to escape to nearby Middle Eastern countries. My parents fled the Lebanese Civil War in 1976, came to this country legally on a refugee visa in order to save their 3 young children, and 5 years later, I was born here in the USA. My late father was a proud naturalized American, a patriot of this great nation, and instilled in us values that helped us appreciate the country that we grew up in and raised to love it for better or for worse. In 2020, Azerbaijan attacked Armenia once more, committing another genocide of our innocent people in 2023. They then ethnically cleansed 120,000 Armenians from our ancestral homelands. This is what persecution is. You are living in the most liberal state on the East Coast. You have all the same rights and liberties as every other citizen that lives here. All we ask is that you live your life the way you want to live it, but please do not try to shove it down our throats or turn this into a political issue. To be clear, we teach our children that love is love, and everyone is free to love who they choose. It is not our place to judge anyone, but it is not your place to judge us either. You are not allowed to shove it down our throats, not in school and not anywhere else. We will live our lives the way we want, the same way that you can live your lives the way you want. This isn't about exclusion or discrimination. It's about respecting developmental readiness and the diverse values of the families in our district. I ask that we prioritize transparency in curriculum choices, give parents a voice in what is being taught, and ensure that classroom content, especially around sensitive issues, is communicated openly and handled with care. Let's keep our schools centered on learning, not social agendas. Our children deserve better. And Conti, you need to step down.
June events.
You might want to make it clear that there won't be any further.
Again, thank you, Madam Chair. In your packets, you had the June school events coming up, and we normally discuss who's going to attend the events from the committee, so we can make sure there's space for you, or if you know you're going to speak, you can do that. So the first one coming up is May 28th, which is the senior athletic banquet at Burlington in the high school auditorium. We can go one by one. Or May 29th is the senior scholarship awards night at the high school auditorium.
Maybe Melissa could talk about as she sees it.
Yeah, and Melissa, you could certainly assign people. Again, there's usually a school committee person there. June 1st. Again, I'll go through them all, and we can go back and look. June 1st would be the senior graduation ceremony at Sparks Field. Typically, that would be the chair. June 3rd, the Junior Book Awards. And June 10th would be the Simon Youth Academy graduation. So.
Okay, I think I already said I would attend the Youth Academy. We have a school committee meeting the 10th, so I'll try to attend that one. Anyone have any ones they want to join?
And Melissa, I'm sorry, you would normally do the graduation on Varsity Field, so that would be the June 1st.
Oh, sorry, yep. I'm happy to do the book awards, too. I'd have to look at my calendar. Do folks want to look at calendars, or?
Again, you can get back to me.
Okay,
More than one can attend.
All right.
But just if you're going to speak, because the principal sometimes likes to put you in the program, so we just like to know who's showing up. And then if you want to attend graduation and you want a cap and gown, then just please let us know. You can attend however you want to attend. So.
Okay.
All right.
Who should we let know? Sorry. Should we just tell you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just tell me.
All right.
Just let me know. We'll make sure we take care of it.
All right. The survey.
Just a very brief update, Madam Chair, is we committed to getting information out by May 1st. I want to thank my staff for posting everything before break. So I think we tried to organize many years of information in a way that was easily accessible, and that did take a significant amount of effort. In addition to this information, I hired an outside evaluator to review the survey development, implementation, and make recommendations to the school committee for policies and practices moving forward. Jeff Sankey is a former military trial judge. He has military service. He's also served as a school committee member at a prior time in his life, so he sees a lot of different perspectives. I've never met him. I just want to make sure that's clear. I don't have any relationship with him. He indicated that he has several more interviews, but should be done with a report next week. So as soon as that report's done, I'll certainly get it to the committee, and it is and will be added to the website once you guys see it. So we can see that, and again, I think that will help with steps moving forward. I just want to reiterate that the district is aware we are currently not doing any student surveys, but there is no sort of schedule to do any YRBS surveys. And again, even if we were to do it, it wouldn't be until 2027. So we have time to develop or even consider whether you all want to do the survey again or not want to do it again. But the other surveys, we should have policy recommendations and implementation recommendations by Mr. Sankey sometime next week.
Ms. Monica?
I wondered, there seems to be a misunderstanding of some sort about the DESE frameworks and standards. I wonder if maybe we should do more to tell parents what the health curriculum is that we are required to teach. Because it starts at kindergarten, and there's a K2 and a 3-5, and it goes on. And it's available online. You can just Google it. But it seems as though some of the parents, and I don't blame them for being upset about the survey at all, but I do think that the requirements that we have to teach certain standards, people need to understand that we don't get to pick and choose just to teach math and reading. We have to follow the frameworks and the standards. So I wonder if we should do a better job of letting them know what those standards are for, let's say, health.
Yeah, the hard part is, through the chair, Mrs. Monaco, is there's never sort of a simple answer, and I hate that there's not, but there are standards that are mandated, and then there are some standards that parents can opt out of. But I think Dr. Chen has made the health curriculum available to parents to look at, and there are certain, not all lessons, but there are certain topics that parents can opt out of. So, but they can't necessarily opt out of civics, or so they can't opt out of certain things. But health is one of the ones that certain topics within the health that they can opt out of.
Right. It's a little complex, but there are standards that we need to follow.
Yes.
Yes, there are standards that we need to follow. However, I'm working with the director of health and physical education. I will be meeting with her later this week to go over, because there was an opt-out form sent way back in fall, but we're going to resend another one so that people know it's about relationships. And that part you can opt out of.
Health curriculum.
Of the health curriculum. And I will be working with her this week, making sure that, the opt-out letter is sent out again, because we're going to send it out a couple of times, and also make sure that the curriculum is always available for parents to check it out, that part that they can opt out.
Okay, and one other thing that I wanted to mention is that we are working on these policies that we have decided we need, obviously, and that those policies will all come to the school committee for a first reading and a second reading, so the public will have every opportunity to hear them, comment on them, et cetera, when they are completed.
Through the chair, where can families find information about the relationship topics that are discussed?
So the relationship topics, it's going to be taught in the high school and in the middle school, and that will be coming up soon. And so I'm going to be working with Amy Doty on that, and it's yet to come out yet, but it will be sometime in mid-May. But before that happens, I'm going to be meeting with her. I want to go over the opt-out form again with her, and she'll be sending that out.
Where's the curriculum at?
The curriculum will be in the main office.
Okay, so are we posting anything online for people to review, or are we just?
It's going to be on a parent square. If people want to go and see it, it will be available in the main office, both at the middle school and both at the high school. And she will be sending out that parent square reminder again and the opt-out form again.
I feel like some of the feedback we got was that it was difficult for some families to come in and see the information. And is there a reason that we can't put it online, or that we don't feel comfortable putting it online, or link something so that people can look at it? And I know with like the health curriculum, it's sent in a parent square email, and the slides are sent to families so that you can look at it. Is that?
That's the family life curriculum part. That's the piece that people, no matter what, they have the opportunity to opt out. This health curriculum is a little bit different. It's a piece of it. And so one of the things that she has shared is she has shared the curriculum map with folks. And I would say you go through the teachers, and the teachers would be more than happy to share that out. but we can definitely look at different ways. I'll be meeting with Amy Doty to look at different ways to make it more available to parents.
I have one question too.
Chair, just, Mr.
Your mic.
There's no effort on our part to make it harder, so I'm saying if there's any way for us to make it easier, we'll certainly look at doing that. And this topic in particular was very important to DA Ryan in our area. So prior to many of your connections here, there was a horrible situation about 15 years ago at Wayland High School where there was, again, a tragedy with a high school relationship. So I think she really was promoting this topic of healthy relationships. Oftentimes the health curriculum reflect situations that have occurred that people try to prevent moving forward. So, but certainly we'll look at making it as available as possible and as convenient as possible. I think that would make sense.
Great, thank you. And just to follow up, I'm not making a judgment call on what's in there. I just think that, families should be able to look at it and have an opportunity to, understand what their kids are going to be learning about and be able to have the tools to talk to them about it too.
I think that's why we're sending the opt-out again and again and again.
Yeah, the opt-out isn't.
That was going to be my question. Do we think the timing will be right for us to implement maybe some of the suggestions from the report on how we manage the opt-out process?
Again, I'm not sure. I'll see what the report says and how significant it is, but certainly we will make sure people are aware of what's coming up. And
so if anyone's listening, they received an opt-out in the fall. If they didn't see it, they will see it again.
You're going to see it again,
okay.
yes. I'm working with
once.
Okay.
more than one time. I've asked her to send it out at least 3 times. And I'm going to be working with her directly on the messaging as well, too.
Okay. Sounds good.
I have a comment.
Oh, sure.
So with the CHPE, it is a framework. It is non-mandatory. It can be locally adjusted. What have we implemented to this point? What is going to be moved into health education? Because what I'm not going to be doing, and what I refuse to do is sit here and go through this policy work. We move what is causing these concerns parents to come into health education they cannot opt out of. So I want clearer answers as to what we're moving, what programs of instruction we have now implemented, because this has been going on already, because I don't feel like there's a clear understanding of where we're at in this process, and I don't feel like it's been well communicated, and I think we need to do a better job doing that. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you explain what you mean? What's being moved? I didn't understand what you were saying.
So with the CHPE, there is no change in the opt-out law.
What's
However,
the CHVE?
the Comprehensive Health and Physical Education Framework, what we're talking about.
Okay.
So with that framework, the slideshows that I saw, because I looked it up for the MASC training that was given to educators, it says no change to opt-out. These things will be moved from sexual education to health education. So if we are planning to do that in this district, that is a hard stop for me. Because if parents can't opt out of things they want to opt out of, that is not a non-starter for me.
we haven't made any changes yet in response to the new standards. So that would be the answer. There are new standards. I think they were adopted last year.
Correct.
And so I think we have to bring those changes forward to this committee. So,
and I think we need to be a little more upfront about communicating what we're moving in the program of instruction we're implementing. So because this has been going on, this has been in the Journey to Cares brief more than once, and I've asked more than once what portions of the CHPE we've implemented and not been given adequate answers at this point. So if me on the committee can't get adequate answers, I feel like the parents aren't going to know.
Yeah.
So you believe that some things are going to be moved from the framework?
I didn't say they were going to believe. That's a very leading comment that you're going to.
I'm trying to understand it. So you are concerned
Yes, I'm
that some
concerned.
Things will be moved from frameworks
From
into the
sexual
health
education, which
curriculum?
can be opted out of, to health education, which cannot be opted out of.
Okay, so Dr. Conti, Dr. Chen.
Through the chair, may I answer that question?
Just give me 1 second.
Yep.
Will you bring any changes like that to this committee?
Of course I will, and for the record, through the chair, no changes have been made, as I said it very clearly, no changes have been made. We purposely have waited on adopting any of the new curriculum, any of the new standards. It is going to go through a process. I could not do it this year because we are in the process of doing math and then literacy, and that's where all my emphasis has been on. So if the communication hasn't been clear, I want to make it very, very clear through the chair that there has been no adoption of any new standards. And I made that very clear to the Director of Health and Wellness. We are not moving. We haven't gone through the new standards. It hasn't happened.
It's been briefed in Journey to CARES, and we can pull it back up, but again, I think we need to have a very real conversation about the CHP and what we're going to implement here, because I think this is the crux of the argument for parents that are concerned, parents that want some things, parents that want other things, and I think we need to have a better conversation about it, so we make sure we implement things so we don't have rooms full of concerned parents coming in here.
So we have their word that they're going to bring any changes to us. Are you satisfied with that?
I am. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And may I just make a point of clarification? Through the chair, what was in the Journey of CARES was that they're working with the DUSI, they were in a grant, and they're looking at the new standards. That was what was in the Journey to CARES, sir. Again, there has been no movement of any standards.
Good to know.
And all standards will be brought forth, you have my word, to this committee before they move forward.
Thank you.
At the last piece of this agenda item, I do have the BEA president here to speak on behalf of the teachers. Oh, sorry, and the vice president.
Hi, guys.
Good evening. And thank you for affording us time. It was critical to us that the public receive the maximum amount of time because we are here to listen, and that's actually the very first statement that Chrissy and I have come to share with you, is that BEA members have come in person and online this evening to listen, aware that our community has been shook by reactions to the YRBS survey, and that it is our duty to better understand our community's wants and needs for our students. The BEA does specifically support the community's request that the district reevaluate the administration of the survey, specifically in regards to its effectiveness as a tool that informs our educators, so we may adjust our practice to more effectively reduce risky student behaviors. Additionally, we agree with the community that communication processes from district administration must be improved to better elevate higher priority communications, such as opt-out opportunities, to staff and families over the everyday stream of announcements and bulletins that we are very familiar with and part of, responsible for. The BEA appreciates the reflective process being taken under Dr. Conti and Dr. Chen to identify and correct the underlying issues with the survey's communication and its implementation. The BEA stands ready to work with the administration as appropriate to support the implementation of necessary changes. The BEA does not dismiss the feelings shared by many community members, including those that are in the gallery and were in the gallery previously today. We recognize their anger and their disappointment as genuine, and we hear their demands that the district do better to follow through on the promises that it makes to its community. But that said, the BEA rejects the accusations towards educators and district leadership alike that recent events are emblematic of a public school system seeking to systemically corrupt and harm our students. The plain realities could not contradict such claims more. Educators and district leaders co-plan and participate in standard response protocol training with the Burlington Police Department. They regularly facilitate safety drills with students pre-K through 12 for a variety of dangerous scenarios. School administrators and IT specialists provide layers of web filtering and protection across our networks 24/7. Meanwhile, librarians and ed tech specialists educate students on safe surfing practices and ways to regularly protect themselves and their information online. Our nurses oversee and administer a dizzying number of different kinds of medicines while tending to students' everyday needs and emergencies. Health and wellness educators tactfully provide education education across a wide array of topics that are required of them through state standards and guidelines. And of course, educators and their leaders work hard to establish and maintain a district-wide culture built on safety and inclusion. It is a culture that disempowers bullies and supports reconciliation when behaviors occasionally lapse. It is a culture that encourages the expression of one's identity, including one's religious affiliation, cultural heritage, and personal pride. And it is a culture that acknowledges that to err is to be human, and that when our layers of support for each other fail, we reflect on our role in it, we acknowledge our mistakes, and we identify what we must do better, and do so by collectively moving forward. So we do thank the school committee for its time today and the members of the public who came out and have respectively shared their time and feelings with us. And we appreciate their consideration and your consideration as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Chen, you're up.
Just one more thing, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Oh, never mind.
Then, Lisa, I'm sorry. You have next year's school committee schedule. Just please look it over, and if
Right,
you
I'm
have
sorry.
any
I scrolled too
issues,
hard.
we're going to triple check any of the holidays, but if there's an issue, we can try to make some adjustments.
I see September 23rd is Rosh Hashanah. Can we move it to the following Tuesday?
I'm sorry,
September 23rd?
23rd? Okay, move to the following?
Yes.
We'll make a proposal.
Yeah, that's in between, town meeting is the week after, which should be fine.
Okay. We can do that.
Does anyone have a strong preference on the July date?
Eric might.
No.
Okay,
We can
I
move-
can do remote that day.
We can move it a week later if that's better. I don't know what all your plans are.
What was the date again?
The 15th?
This is the 15th. I'd rather do the week before, or I can do remote. I'm fine with that.
We could do it earlier, we could do it later. It's too soon to do it.
Okay.
The 15th?
I'm away the 15th and the following week, but
Lisa and I may not be available on the 15th.
Okay.
How about the 22nd?
That's fine. I'll do it remotely.
Mr. Brooks, your travel schedule?
Yeah.
I am not, wrong.
Did you say?
6. July 22nd?
I mean, I'm away those
July
2 weeks,
22nd.
but it's fine.
I'm good with either or.
All right, just do the 22nd then.
All right, we'll try the 22nd.
Whichever one works for you guys.
Yep. All right. So again,
Okay.
we can make
Can somebody
adjustments as we
send,
go.
yeah, I always feel like I never have the final list.
All right.
So Marianne, we updated the July and September.
What day is it going to be September?
The 20.
So move to
The
September
23rd to the 30th, I believe.
30th.
the 15th to the 22nd, yeah?
Yeah, on July 22nd, and then September 30th. As we'll get it all done in that 1 week, right? Okay. All right, this Assistant Superintendent and Journey to Care, are those the same thing?
No, they're two different things. I just wanted to give you an update of where we are with regard to, I will have both reports ready for you on all the work that's been done this year when it comes to creating more equitable pathways in the middle school. We're in the process of developing 2 new courses in math. It's going to be an enhanced grade 7 and an enhanced grade 8 math course. And then in grade 8, it will be a course that will combine all Algebra 1 standards and all grade 8 standards. In the following year, we'll have another class which will be a true just Algebra 1 course. The reason we had to do that this year is because the 7th grade students wouldn't have had the opportunity to have all of grade 8 standards. But that report is going to be coming to you next week. Also, just wanted you to know on the Literacy Task Force report, I'm summarizing and finalizing that with Dr. Gail Levette. You will have a report on that the following next time we have, so I'll report out on this year's work and what has all occurred. Just wanted to clarify that We have put out, pending anticipated, working on an implementation plan that has occurred with the Literacy Task Force, and that has been posted, and I'm very excited of the people that I'm seeing thus far. These are our teacher leaders who are interested in building their capacity. These will be the teachers who will get knowledge of CKLA first. They will be helping to develop the pacing guide over the summer. They will be working with Dr. Bonnie Nichols, Dr. Gail Lovett, myself, and the CKLA consultant. They will be the leaders helping to move forward and provide professional development for 2.5 hours, 8 times this school year. And I'm going to have more information for you next time.
Awesome.
All right, may I move next to the Journey to CARES? And yes, I did work on the timing.
Read slowly.
Okay. All right.
Rush.
All right. Okay, so we're going to keep it on this slide, but as I said, for more information, please kindly see the website for the entire presentation. Before we begin the slideshow, I wanted to highlight some amazing work that our BPS teams are accomplishing this month. The operations team met with conservation regarding the MS field renovations. We received 2 14-passenger activity vans that do not necessarily belong to Sean Hurd. Okay, we are all sharing them.
I saw them as well, yeah.
In the business and finance team, thank you to Nicole Kasha, attended the Ways and Means School Subcommittee meeting and full Ways and Means Committee to review the fiscal year 2026 budget. On the communications team, she's been working with the Director of Community Engagement to update community resources. The page is located under the community drop down on the district website to help all families. With regard to our human resource teams who are participating in training and set up for the new absence and substitute management system. We're heading into the 21st century. Next year, we're hoping to have this online. Yay. Informational technology team worked with the town of Burlington and vendors to plan our 5-year infrastructural refresh. And the nursing team updated medication and emergency plans for next school year. And now for our slides. In slide 1, as you can see, our students received 3rd place in the Tenacity Challenge. Congratulations and thank you to Morgan Higgs, who also served as a coach for them, attending the all-town band concert, and again, that was filled completely. There was a female leadership conference hosted by Shireen Tyrell. She has done an excellent job. Our chair was also there present, and I think this is wonderful. This is a wonderful opportunity that I wish I had when I was going through high school, that any organizations of very strong female leaders in the field of science and STEM are working with our female students to let them know what their job entails. And then the administrators attended the Women Educational Leadership Network. Next slide, please. There's a picture of the Unified Bowling League coaches, Sean Hart and Bonnie Nichols. They've done an excellent job, and right now they're in the process of coaching Unified Basketball, and I went to the game yesterday, and we beat Lexington by 2 points. The BHS Latin students are on their trip in Italy, as you can see, and they were able to see videos of the Pope giving a service before his passing. We also planned the March 20th PD with the Dr. John Almerode with scaffolding that's on the Tier 1 instruction. I attended the March 20th district-wide safety training with the Burlington Police, who gave that training to all of our staff, attended the MTSS training with American Institute of Research, in which Chrissy Concession, want to thank her, wrote a grant. And right now they are doing, looking through all of our MTSS structures at the district level and building levels as well, too. And the next slide, please. Here we have the Director of Community Engagement at Temple Shalom with Rabbi Abraham and former school committee member Martha Simon on community conversation and outreach. Here we have Patricia English Sand, who is the principal in Memorial, and all of our elementary principals do this, but this is one of my favorite things to go and see. They often host Friday luncheon with student leaders, and these two lucky students not only got to eat lunch with Patricia English Sand, but she has a wonderful toy chest that they can pick out a toy. The Kindness Initiative is underway thanks to Gloria Watasik, Karen Hoyt, and Julie Conley, and you can see that's where many of our wonderful our drawings have come from. This actually comes from Operation Ladybug, which is Burlington's first community kindness celebration. This initiative is in partner with Help Us, which is Help Me Sometime Someone Inc. It's a social network dedicated to promoting kindness and charitable deeds. Joyce Delianis, want to thank her. We'll recognize students, staff, and parent caregivers who go above and beyond in demonstrating kindness with social emotional learning curriculum has been involved to demonstrate kindness, respect, and care. And just wanted you to know, May is known as Kindness Month across the district. And this year, we'll have our first annual culminating celebration of Burlington Kindness Day. It will be on Sunday, May 18th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Burlington Town Commons. In slide 4, next, please, partnering with the BPS Police Department on the reunification training for all of BPS, thanks to Chrissy Concession, Mark Sullivan, Deborah Clark, Dominic Colicchio, Dan Murphy, Patrick Lyons, Captain Dan Hannafin, Chief Tom Brown, and also thank you, Jeremy Brooks, for also sitting on our district leadership team when it comes to the safety, school safety, for our continual partnership with us and keeping all of us safe. Here we have another picture of a memorial third grade students in Ms. Gutenplan's ESL class practicing the language of math and story problems with a pretend school store. Again, we have the Director of Family and Community Engagement partnered with United Way of Massachusetts Bay and Gillette to gather donations to supply of families in need. Gloria Wataskic chaperoned 22 BHS students with Victoria McCormick, BHSL teacher, on a field trip to Mass Robotics for National Robotics Week. And thank you again to Wendy Pavlicek and Sean Musselman of the BPS Science Center as they begin the chick hatching was underway at all elementary school for kindergartners. And in slide 5, you can see the chick hatching demonstration at the elementary schools, and this is a most memorable event for a lot of our students. Even seniors will talk about the chick hatching demonstration. The administrators are working with Dr. Bill Lapini, who is a former superintendent of Brookline, on calibration of learning walks, and we often do learning walks across all of the schools just so that we're looking at the same thing. In slide 6, again, want to give kudos to these students, and I just want us to pause here. Each year, students around the world discover history through National History Day by creating historical projects. Through this process, students develop skills in communication, project management, and historical thinking. At the NHD contest, students present their work to judges, they get their feedback, and they select projects to advance to the next level of competition. There are over 3,000 students from across the United States and overseas who compete each June at the University of Maryland in College Park. And this year, thank you to Barbara Sturavant at MSMS and Principal McMahon, and our counterpart also exists at the high school. 35 of our students, and here they are, advanced from district to states, and 15 of them are moving to nationals, with several more receiving an honorable mention. And just wanted to give a shout out to all of our middle school students, those of them who are also going to nationals. We're very proud of all of you guys who show dedication, determination, and creativity, and overall excellence in academic achievement. Well done. Next slide. The BHS Red Devils Gaming, Mario Kart, and Rocket League esports team. 2 teams have made it to the MSAA Esports States Final for the spring seasons. Finals will be held on Saturday, May 3rd at Fisher College in Boston. Thanks to coaches Leroy Wong and Nolan Hart. And congratulations to our students, and we wish them luck. And I believe, and someone can correct, is Mario Kart the one with the cart and you play soccer with it?
No.
No?
Racing track.
Okay, I need help. All right, so I would not win that esports. All right, sorry.
Those turtle shells.
All right, sorry. In slides 8 through 11, but we're going to take some time, first of all, the next slide. Please, sir. Very, very proud. These are our state seal by literacy. It's an award provided by the state-approved districts, giving in recognition of students who have attained proficiency in listening, speaking, reading, and writing in English and another language by the time they reach high school graduation. Thank you to Renee Dacey and the World Language Department. Congratulations to our grade 12 students on this year's seal of bilinguacy program. So this is the first slide of our group of students. The next slide. These are all our babies that have gotten their dual language speakers. The next slide, please. All right. And then finally, thank you to all your teachers, administrators, school committee members, community partners, and parents and caregivers. You all make a difference. We really appreciate all that you do for us. And again, what I wanted to say on here, what also is a picture, is the senior showcase and the BHS library, and that is when the students do a culminating project and they defend that project. And thank you to Judith Crossman and the BHS English department. And as you can see in a very, very small picture, you have Dr. Conti reading to kindergartner students Brown Bear. And this is part of Jennifer Jackson. She's a teacher librarian at Fox Hill promoting Read Across America. And I read the book, I Don't Want to Be Big. Okay. But that's it for the Journey to Cares.
Sorry, pulling the agenda back up. Oh, declaration of surplus property.
Yes. So,
happy to see these go.
Yes, and so I think we will need a vote from you guys because basically, in a nutshell, these, as we're, and I'm hoping this will move through town meeting, but as we are going to be moving forward with the new adoption of hopefully our curriculum amplified in CKLA, these are outdated sets. And so the ones here that are outdated, they need to be disposed. And once we know for sure that we are definitely going to be getting Amplify CKLA, these are going to be repurposed because they can be replaced by Amplify CKLA materials. But right now what's happening is that because the materials we're going to be getting are in crates, and we have to put them in each of the schools, and it's a lot of materials, we need to start cleaning out the closets. And so would really like a vote from you guys, if it's all right, to say yes. These are old, so the ones up here, they're over their lifetime.
Again, Madam Chair, I think Nicole, this is a technicality, right? We have to declare the surplus before we move them out of the district. Is that because they're obviously a public asset?
Yes.
And they're past their useful life?
Yep. Is it dependent on the town meeting vote for the new program?
Not the ones up at top are not, because we no matter what, we're not going to be using FNP. We're not going to be using FNP.
We should make two motions, make one to get rid of the, so I'll move to dispose of the outdated, unused materials, and then we'll also make a motion to remove the ELA materials contingent on the CKLA vote.
All right, just go with the first motion there.
Yeah. So first motion, move to dispose of or repurpose, what is it, dispose of the outdated used ELA materials as presented for Fountain and Pinellas developmental reading kits, assessment kits, and level literacy intervention kits.
Any second.
Second.
Questions?
No, I just want to make a comment that I'm thrilled to see this go.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Oh, those against? So 5-0, dispose of the unused ELA materials. Go ahead.
I'll do the second one now?
Yeah,
Okay. So I'll also move to remove or repurpose the ELA materials identified, Sadler, grammar books, Hegarty, and foundations contingent on the CKLA adoption from town meeting.
Second.
Questions? I don't know where you're going to put all of these materials in Fox Hill. I can only imagine the other schools, but glad that we got to get rid of something. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All those opposed? 5-0.
David Rosenblatt's office.
Just weed Ford out of books.
Back to the agenda. Okay, Fox Hill School Building Committee. I think Eric had a most riveting conversation today.
We did, and I think
Bob was there too?
Bob was there as well. So it was actually, it is a very important topic.
Yes,
It's
yes,
just it's just, we spent 90 minutes talking about door locks.
And door handles.
And door handles. So
That's where we are in Fox Hill, yeah.
and it's, they're actually very expensive and very important in terms of safety. So there are a lot of different options, and I thought the questions were good. Again, I think the presentation was very thorough, and so I want to also thank, because these conversation was also initiated with, we have a safety team that is looking at the Fox Hill project as well. So there's a lot of people who contribute to this topic before it even comes down to whether it's what are the two different kinds? The
Mortise.
Mortise, and so I learned a lot. So anyway.
Catherine has a question.
Were there any police officers involved in the presentation to kind of get the perspective from?
Who's the meeting with?
It was with their lock, they have a lock consultant or lock designer. The meeting with the security team was prior to this one, so they had met about what functionality they wanted to see. We were mostly just presented with different options. So key on both sides of a classroom door, or a key on the outside and a thumb lever on the inside, or something like that. So we were looking at that, and so do the doors always need to be locked from the outside? So there's some convenience. We have schools who operate in different ways, so we're trying to also bring some of the schools together. We have our locksmith on staff too. You would be surprised how much time and energy the locks take. So
If I could
yeah,
just
please
add through the
jump in.
chair. So today is not the first time that we've seen that. That had been provided to us in the police department previously. So we had time to kind of compile some answers. Today's meeting really was to go over some of those answers, make sure that we were in agreement with what was being, presented to us, and see if there were any questions for us. That will obviously come back to the SBC for obviously final conversation. And it needs to be mentioned that there are hundreds of doors and locks in a building like that, different styles, obviously, because they'll function differently. Let's say it's a closet versus a bathroom versus a classroom door, et cetera. Automatic doors, manual doors, which ones will work on the security system, et cetera. So, I mean, there's really just a lot that goes into it, even though we say it's only door locks and handles. So that 90 minutes was actually valuable to me.
It was. And could you just, I know you guys are riveted by this topic, but what was really interesting to me was the some of the larger spaces, the gyms and the cafeteria, because the doors can have magnetic holds or then be electrified. The magnetic holds are linked to the fire alarm, but there are also other ways of wiring the doors, and it's much more expensive to have them triggered by a lockdown alarm. Is that correct?
Correct. Either way, we would need to consider whether we wanted the door itself to be electrified at the hinge level or at the actual door lock itself. The other option would be to have the door electrified open on a magnetic lock, which we have those in our schools now, and then during fire alarms or other events, then the magnets will release and shut the doors. Now again, one has a different level than the other one when it comes to security, because if the door is unlocked but released from the wall, yes, it'll be shut, but it'll still be unlocked. A magnetic lock that is electronically controlled can physically shut the door, shut the lock itself, and always make sure that it's actually functioning locked. So again, just something to look for, or for us to think about, and the biggest takeaway from that is that, sure, our doors right now are capable of it. It just would be a financial hurdle to make all of our doors capable of that now.
Silly question, but through the chair. So if it's all electric, what happens if someone cuts the power? What's the backup?
Maglock, it's the opposite of what you think. So, yeah, when you kill the power, we'll lock it.
Okay.
Right?
Just-
And then it'll shut it. So what the maglock holds the door open and holds the lock open. When you kill power to it, it closes
And we
the
have
door
a
and shuts it.
Diesel generator, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
But she asked that question, so that's the way that they would work. So the signal actually
how quick
says,
it kicks in.
let's kill
Right.
power and shut the lock.
Yeah, okay. I had to ask out of curiosity. I know that we have generators and whatnot, but it's how fast that all kicks in and whatever.
So I assume that the major premise of concern behind the discussion on door locks has to do with safety in the case of someone coming in and trying to shoot up the building. And is that the focus, is this for Fox Hill that you're looking at this, for the new school?
Correct. Yeah. Yes,
Okay,
Fox Hill.
so what happens with these locks, whichever is chosen, what happens in the event that someone comes in and pulls a fire alarm? So everybody starts running out into the hallways instead of going back into the rooms and locking the doors. Is there any?
I can take it if you want. So I can't tell you what the action will be that will cause that to happen. I will say that there are two different triggers, right? So when you push the notification system for the emergency system in lockdown, an announcement would happen over the loudspeaker, and then you perform a different duty when you're inside the building. When you push the fire alarm, or there's a fire that's notified from the system, a different system goes out, right? And obviously you want people to get out of the building, right? During an instance, if both were pushed, we will have to obviously act different, with our communication with inside the building, et cetera, et cetera. But the functions still remain the same, that for egress purposes, you have to be able to get out of a building. So even if the door is locked, the panic bars and the push of the door will allow you to get out. The thing is that if it's locked, people can't get in, so they're restricted on getting in.
Okay.
And so safety is one part, also accessibility, because they also said, I think a lot of the door handles just require one function, not two grips. And so, again, didn't know that much about locks, but this conversation, boy, you can get pretty granular on.
You're an expert now, huh?
No, I'm not, but I'm just saying, this guy was, pretty granular on.
And there's also compliances that we need to meet anyways, due to it being a newer building. So there will be some regulations that we'll have to follow.
I did not mean to drag us down this rabbit hole. My point was just that we're picking this.
Yes.
This is the level of detail of where we're at in Fox Hill. I believe an interior working group is starting to work. So we're picking tile, curtains, shades, all of that stuff, so that we can get a dollar value. The next dollar amount will be in July. And I can't tell you right off the top of my head when the next meeting is, but we're monthly, and I'm sure we'll talk more about the locks and the interior and all that.
Can't wait.
We shall.
Riveting.
The building committee?
That was Fox Hill, Catherine.
I know.
Yeah, so.
Or you?
You want to move on to high school?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Fox Hill.
So the next meeting is May 8th at 6:30. At the last meeting, we did eliminate, we're down to one option, and it's AR8. And at the moment, we're trying to get ideas from the community on calling it something other than AR8. So we've challenged some people to come to us with names. So anyone listening, if you want to come up with something other than AR8, we're all ears. Send us your suggestions. We're working on some redesign of what it looks like. I think we'll maybe see something at the next meeting. We'll see. And it's a constant, I guess, work in progress. And so I guess, if you're interested, again, to see what we're going to do next and what it's going to look like, and you want to say, please come to the meeting on the 8th.
Madam Chair, just, there was a subcommittee for the high school that met today. Mr. Brooks, Mr. Kuhn, and myself had the CM at Risk meeting. Doran Whittier is actually working very quickly. Nicole, they're going to get a request for qualifications to you soon to get on the combis, I think within the next week or so, right? So it's happening pretty quickly. So I think you're aware of all that, but they know they need to get that to you as soon as possible. And then that triggers getting construction companies to qualify, then later to apply to partner with us. They'd really like to have someone assigned relatively early in July to the project to help price out create a price by September, like get a good estimate on the project by September. So there's also a lot of progress being made there. Ms. Bond, we're going to give an update on the CM at the next high school building committee.
Question?
Yeah.
Does the school committee choose the CM?
I think ultimately the school committee on the high school project would choose the CM. You guys would make the decision.
So there will be a group, might be small, but there
Similar
will
to
be-
how we chose the.
Yeah.
I think there'll be qualified companies, and then they'll do a presentation, and
We'll pick someone. Yeah, okay.
we'll pick someone or make a recommendation, and then ultimately the school committee will, again, work out a contract, and then the school committee would approve that ultimately.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if we got to interview them, sort of, and talk and choose.
It's not a bid process.
I think there is kind of a bid process, but it starts with qualifications, is what I would say, and then they would choose 4 or 5. I'm looking at
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Brooks
so
because...
basically what we talked about today was the weighting, so it'll be basically going over the source selection criteria, and those are all weighted values. We basically put input in that these are the most important things to us when selecting the CM, so it's just basically the same matrix
Same
we
way
did
we
for
did
Fox Hill. It's just putting that out and codifying that.
All right. Facilities?
Just a brief update. I want to say that we are officially in the shoulder season right now. Today is one of those extreme days that was hot, so we have not switched over to air conditioning in the buildings. We still have days where it's cold at night and then some mildly cold days. But again, you have a day like today that exceeds the normal temperatures, and it's slightly uncomfortable in parts of the building. So I just wanted to make everybody aware that we're aware of it, but we're not ready to flip the system yet to air conditioning in the buildings or areas of buildings that do have air conditioning. We still do need the heat until we get past this, the cold nights.
Back to you, transportation. I have a question.
Okay.
Want me to start with it?
Please.
Are we ready for Cambridge Street paving?
We are aware of it. We've
Okay.
been talking with the bus company. We've been in communication with the DPW as well, too, because they're performing paving projects that are starting this week.
Okay.
So they're aware of those. So we're trying to minimize any disruption, as see fit. Again, we will see as we get further into the Cambridge Street what impact that really is going to have on us, but we are having those talks.
Okay.
We are also having the talks of summer scheduling. So what that means is typically late in July, we will send over a student roster to the bus company. They will, put those into the routing software and then turn around and give us routes. We have asked for 2 different routes, a minimum of 2 different routes this year, but we are stressing 2, and the reason is 2 is one would be vastly different than what we have right now to some degree, and then one would be similar to what we have right now, but within our time frame, also within our number of stops roughly. But again, the one that we're saying is vastly different is not going to be one community stop per bus route. It just may look different, spaced out a little bit. And the purpose of that is to kind of create a little bit more time within those routes. So once we have those, we will share those with the committee. And, again, one of them may not work as ideal to all of you. One of them may be the better choice, but we'll do what's best at the recommendations of the bus company and you all.
Feel free to convene the transportation subcommittee. I think Catherine and I are more than happy to walk through those too.
Yeah.
If you want. One last thing on 3A. given that it's basically going to take us starting next week till the end of the school year, through the end of the school year, is there an opportunity, like, would we consider changing routes if need be?
We're not there yet
Okay.
as far as the need to do that.
Okay.
I guess the conversation will really come down to, once they're in front of, let's say, the high school per se, where does that impact us? When we're talking elementary and middle schools, again, we'll have to see what section of the high school that's going to impact the route and what the time delay looks like. So again, we're thinking about it, we're talking about it, but if they're going to be following the schedule to a T and they're going to be in smaller sections, we can anticipate some minimal impacts and kind of route around them most of the time.
Okay, yeah, I was just envisioning, because if they're coming from the middle school to Pine Glen to Fox Hill, they're all coming that way, probably some going to Francis Wyman too.
We also anticipate, just based on some conversations, that, the buses would have priority, and that we don't believe that both sides of the road are getting shut down at one time.
Okay.
So traffic will still be allowed to go through.
Okay.
But again, what it will do is create traffic downstream.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It's been a joy right before Francis Wyman.
Yeah.
It's actually one lane, not just like the one lane that it's supposed to be.
All right, public garden update.
Thank you through the chair. I just wanted to update the committee that I did meet on site with a couple of residents of Laurel Lane, particularly the abutters to the community garden. They had asked some questions at our meetings, and I had addressed those one by one. We had walked the site, and I think I have shared this questions and answers with you all. If there's any particular you want me to discuss out loud, if you wanted me to read any of these questions and answers, I'm glad to do that. These have been emailed and shared, again, with those residents. They have my point of contact if there is anything that was a continued question or something that was unclear. But I believe that we are in an understanding right now of where the project is. Tree cutting has commenced. As far as large trees, what's left to do right now is move some dirt, install a fence. There still is some conversation that you all may want to discuss, or maybe I want to discuss, regarding the beehive that is there right now. What I found out through some research is that there is no state or local laws pertaining to the beehives, and beehives bees themselves are natural, obviously, to this area, and particularly attracted to gardens. So regardless of removing the hive, bees will continue to create their own hives and be attracted towards the garden itself. Again, that's not a bias question to any of you all. That's just the way bees work. But again, as we sit right now, the community garden volunteers and people helping people themselves are moving some dirt, to create the additional beds. They were respectful of the boundaries that you all had put in place of that 25 feet from the property line. So we do not believe that we are impacting that 25-foot buffer line. There is a natural hill behind that will stay, so that will create a natural buffer before the property line as well. And again, work will continue. This is the prime season right now to get some plants in the ground, so they're trying to move as quickly as possible.
You said the tree cutting had commenced. Did it finish?
So they had cut the large trees down.
Okay.
And those are complete.
Okay.
What's going to happen now is now that the large trees are out of the way, they'll be moving rocks and dirt. There may be some cleanup that needs to happen, some leaf removal, et cetera.
Okay.
But ultimately, it will be mostly groundwork that's left, and then a new fence will be installed to encase the expansion of the garden.
And the residents are all comfortable with where our boundary is and what trees are down, obviously?
I think the residents have been notified of where they're at. I think they're comfortable with what's been presented to them. And as long as we stay within what we've said we were going to do and the information doesn't change from this, there is an understanding of the residents that I met with face-to-face and spoke with, yes.
Ms. Monaco?
What do you really think should happen with the bees? Is it safe to leave them there? Are we concerned about people allergic to bee stings? Are they close enough to the school to be a problem? And second question, is the installation of the baseball field still holding up the ability of people to get to the garden from the school lot?
I'll go backwards. So the baseball field is almost complete and is expected to be completed by the end of this week or early next week. It is impacting the travel path from the parking lot there, but there still is one that goes around, staying on school property to get to the community garden. The direct path was recently paved this week, but the temporary fence is still up, so
But it will
people do
open
have
up.
to go around. So there is an impacted route, but still available route there. As far as beehives go, or bees themselves, location is actually in the community garden, so proximity to the school is relatively far. The type of bees that generally gravitate towards this beehive or towards the community garden are generally docile, aren't really aggressive towards humans themselves. Particularly, there's no guarantee that that would be the case, but generally they are not. Again, even if we were to take the beehive away, bees are still going to be near the community garden and will create their own hive.
And Madam Chair, through the chair, Bob, technically, the beehive was moved from a house that was very close to Francis Wyman and close to the community garden. I mean...
Correct.
So it might have been 50, 100 feet from where it was moved to?
Yep.
And we had no knowledge it was
A street
moved.
that abuts the property, it was moved from that street here.
Might have actually been closer to the school where it was
possibly
before, so like I
A
said...
quick measurement on the map, it's 1 mile straight line distance from the community garden to the school.
So,
a mile?
The building itself or the baseball fields and?
The,
You can, it's a quick walk.
excuse me, it's 1,100 feet.
Oh, okay. Half
That was the distance from me, it's 1,100 feet.
My only concern about the bees is whether or not we have any liability because of students could be, kids could be allergic to bee stings. And if that is the case, and we are creating, a situation for bees, I know there are always bees where you have plants, but there are probably more bees because there's a beehive. And I just wonder if that's something we should be concerned about.
I will double check. I have already reached out to our pest management company regarding this in particular. Any type there's a pest management, we have the option to decide whether or not to treat it, not treat it, keep it, et
No,
cetera.
I wouldn't treat it.
I'm just saying, right? So if there was bees, let's say, in the building, we may look differently than
Yeah.
bees outside of the
Right.
building, right? If there's a raccoon's nest in the woods, we may treat that differently than raccoons in an attic, right? So this falls into that area where we may be subjective to how we look at that and what we choose to do moving forward.
Well, Peter Capola is a neighbor of mine, and I saw him, and we talked about the bees a little bit, and he said if the bees were a problem, that he would ask the people to take the beehive back. I don't know if they would take it back, but that's what he said. I'm not out to kill bees. That is a terrible thing to do, and I would never do that.
But are we saying that the original location was actually closer to the school?
We don't know that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just stating in my response to the residents and then to you all as well, that I did not approve, and I'm unaware that any of you all or administration of Francis Wyman had approved that.
Yeah, we didn't. We didn't approve the beehive.
So you all should decide, or I decide
Maybe we
whether or
should
not
make it-
that should stay.
Decision for another meeting.
Okay.
Good.
I mean, the only comment I was going to make is someone who's been stung 32 times at one sitting, because I didn't know that I was stepping on a hive. So I'd prefer to know where the hive is than to be surprised and not know. I mean, I get people are allergic, but,
Well, you're lucky you weren't.
hives are places you have no idea. And again,
this
I
is like
agree,
the
we didn't know it was being moved and all that kind of fun stuff, but personally, I mean, it's there to help the gardens, and if you know it's there, you know to stay away. And, I, like I said, would like to know where the hive is. Thank you.
So it's a green box, notification on it that says caution, there are bees. This is in an area, again, you could say it's close to Laurel Lane because the garden is close to Laurel Lane. So as far as proximity to school, it's in the community garden.
What about, like, it's not near a playground or where the kids are getting off the bus or any of that?
About a quarter mile, 300 meters.
Yep.
It's pretty far.
Yep. If I could add, I have been in discussion with Mrs. P. from the science department, the science center. She says that bees are wonderful and that they bring good things, obviously, to the community garden and to the nature. So she's not in favor of it being removed, but obviously understands the circumstances if you all choose to have it removed.
You put a warning sign, through the chair, a warning sign or something up. There's a beehive, if
Sounds
they
like
don't
there's
know.
one on-
There's one already on the box.
Right, but
If you're
somewhere
asking
when you
for
enter
other ones,
the
we
garden.
could do that as well, too.
Yeah.
Bees are wonderful, but I had a child who was allergic to them, and that was not wonderful, so.
It's not wonderful.
If there's a child nearby with an allergy, I don't want it to become a problem, that's all.
And then one last comment, sorry, I don't know if I'm going to drag this out, but monitoring the tree removal, that was one of the big concerns of the neighbors is, are we doing periodic checks as the trees are coming down? Are we like someone from the school going out there kind of daily, making sure they're not going encroaching? Because we basically, when we approved this, said we would leave a tree brush, buffer, and we wouldn't clear cut it to right at the 25-foot line.
Not daily, but I have been out there multiple times. Again, through the chair, sorry.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I have
Yes.
just a couple more things, and we might not have answers today, but I just want some clarity because of what happened at last year's town meeting. There was a warrant the committee didn't support and then supported, and then when we presented at town meeting, I think the feedback from the committee is, why weren't we prepared to present? And I think we had been told who's presenting and sort of what the project is. So we have, Bob has done a great job with background for all of our warrants. Dr. Chen is ready to present in terms of the curriculum warrant for our annual allocation. There are some bigger projects, though, that we committed to town meeting that are on the warrant that I just want you all to make clear your expectations in terms of how you want them presented, who you want them to present, and what sort of information. So, one, we had the middle school field project where it was divided last year at town meeting into the backfield project and then the resurfacing of the track and sort of resurfacing brush field. So that's currently on there. Again, so if we are presenting, Bob and I, then again, I want to be clear so we can be very prepared. The other warrant is the bathroom building at the middle school. And this one is a little bit more difficult to present because it's not we're not asking for design money this year to design a building, get an estimate, and then go back to town meeting where we could show them what the building looks like and then say this is what the estimate is to build it. What Bob is essentially doing is looking at communities that have built these projects, what the projects are, and how much they cost. So we're sort of asking for the whole thing without a design done. And so people are going to ask how many toilets and how did you decide there are 16 toilets and not 15 toilets, and none of that work is done. So I guess, and for me, it's more as much a community warrant and project as it is a school. It is on school property, so I think you all would need to approve it. But I just want to make sure I'm clear on how you would like that presented. Do you want us to seek out partners? Mr. Brooks, have you approached like Park and Rec? Is this going to be a joint warrant presentation? I think there are lots of youth programs that use that facility, especially if we expand the back. I think there's lots of opportunity, but what I don't want to do is show up at town meeting and then say, okay, who's presenting, and then not be prepared. So again, I don't need an answer tonight, but think about how you would like, again, not the air conditioning at Francis Wyman, we are ready to do that, but how you want to see the phase 2 that we committed to town meeting last year, and the bathroom facility for the middle school.
I was going to say, I'll split them with you if you want to do the backfield, and I'll do the bathrooms if we want.
That's fine.
And again, we can get all the background. I guess what I'm saying is I felt like last year people were disappointed because they were like, where's your presentation? And then I got mixed signals. So I just want to make sure I don't have mixed signals. I support the project. I'd love to present or be part of the presentation. Sorry, you want to talk. I'll stop.
I want you to present both of them.
No, I was just going to say that, like, the bathroom one, I mean, I think we should be involved, but I think it should be joint, because it is something that's community. I mean, even though it's on school property, it's not just the school itself using it. So I would feel better if it was a combined presentation between rec and.
Yeah, I guess I'm happy to, maybe we find a town meeting member.
How do we make that happen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again, and just through the chair, so Bob, what you presented had a concession in it, for instance, the building that this other town built.
Right.
But whether you all want a concession in that space.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But I guess the pushback we got from the subcommittee was, how come there are this many toilets or that many toilets? And what we were saying is it's just a sample building.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you had, excuse me, through the chair, you gave some numbers at our last meeting on how you decide on how many toilets. I mean, I'm sure we can throw those numbers out from, if someone actually asks that question, right?
I'm happy to contribute.
I mean, it's not like we know nothing.
So,
At
I
town
have
meeting in
additional
order
backup
to
information that I'm
hopefully
willing to
get it
share,
funded.
obviously.
And if we're going to present, then we need either Eric and Bob to present it, or we need Rec to present it.
Yeah.
And since it's on school property, I think you guys are going to have to present it. And maybe you can get some help from Rec, I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I was just going to speak to the fact, like, you guys would present the details, and then I could speak to the fact that this is a community project on school property that we're putting forward, kind of outside our normal, we're asking for a lot of school projects, but this is a desired school project, and we're investing a lot in this particular facility that gets a lot of use. And I think everyone wants to see this investment in that property.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when did school committee members start presenting warrant articles? Historically, from my memory of being a town meeting member, it was always Dr. Conti and Bob. And I'm just wondering when we started having school committee members represent specific projects and certain things. It just, to me, it seems like it doesn't feel like it's coming from the entire committee. It feels like it's coming from one or two people, which really, if we're putting it forward, we're putting it forward.
Which is great. I just felt like the big middle school project from last year was sort of outside of the warrants that we would normally present. And I just think I had some lack of clarity. So I'm just honestly asking for more clarity. Bob, for the bathroom building, you have some models, but you don't have like a 3D mock-up to say this is the building and what it would look like.
I do not have a 3D mock-up.
Can you draw one? Yeah.
Why not?
Just take some pictures of the ones. Can we use pictures of the other cities? Like Reading has a nice.
Correct. So this is an actual building that was built.
Okay,
right?
perfect.
So, I mean, that is what I'm using as a model. The reason that, what I mentioned at Ways and Means last night, at Ways and Means Subcommittee, is that while the building itself may appear to be large just by looking at the drawings, it's similar in size to what's down at Varsity Field right now. The thing is how you shift and shuffle any of the compartments inside, right? So you may see 16 female bathroom toilets in there, but if we only wanted to have 10, we maybe could either create a storage room that's we don't have in the drawing right now. Yeah. If you don't like the size of the concession and you wanted it to be 4 feet bigger, that would take away 3 toilets. so there's some compromises that have to be there. But the thing is that, we have one porta potty right now at Marshall Simons. Putting a building over there that only has one toilet isn't going to solve our problem, because a major part of the construction is bringing water, electricity, and sewer to that building. Right?
Bob, do you need time to plan it? Should we be asking for design money? And then come back for the whole thing at another time? Are you really ready to go with this? I mean, I don't want to get in a situation like we got in last year, where Ways and Means didn't like the fact that the rec department didn't have the field as its top priority. And so, because they wanted Overlook a little more, I think, they wanted them both, but Ways and Means voted against it, and we ended up with what I consider a somewhat distasteful situation going to town meeting. So I think if we want the bathrooms, my question is, are we prepared to sell it at Ways and Means to get their support? Are we ready? Has it been, can we do that? Can we sell it and then go to town meeting and sell it again? Or are we not there yet? And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I can sell the project. Again, this request specifically is, asked for every single day by residents,
Right.
by
I agree.
athletic departments, by the school department itself.
Okay.
So there's no lack of support. The biggest impact is going to be the financial, right? So it's outside of our warrant article allocation. So
Got
now
that.
this would be something that looks like it would have to be on the bonding schedule, so there's definitely a tax impact. We could break it into a conversation where we look at designing it, but then what happens is by the time we design it, then we come back a year later and say, now can we have money, right? So the cost is going to change, contingency is going to change, and we're going to lose months in between in order to make that happen. Again, some of these things, which I can provide in backup materials, is that you can buy these buildings. You can buy the designs for these buildings, and then you can turn around and say, put this out to bid, have somebody build it, right? There's a million different ways to skin the cat. It really has to come down to is that right now with 1.5 fields, I'm calling it a half because I'm calling the grass field a half, we still manage to get hundreds of students and children and residents on the field.
Okay, so I would like to suggest that we let Ways and Means figure out how to pay for it, assuming they approve it, and I hope they will because it is such a need. But I think you guys need to be fully prepared to present it and sell it, both at Ways and Means and at town meeting. And, it's not a matter of what happened last year and misunderstanding. Let's, right up front, we're going to try and sell them.
Sure. And then I actually think if the project is funded, putting a committee together, like Mr. Brooks chaired and Ms. Novacek, where you guys did for the backfield, would be an important design because, different components of it, like we just said with the concession area and the number of stalls and all that other stuff. I think if there's some consensus around that,
We better go to conservation.
that would be something that we can discuss. So that's all. I just think
Catherine has a question.
we'll be ready. It's tomorrow night. We have to present to Ways and Means. So.
The protected location is outside of the wetlands area.
Thank goodness.
So that's all. I'm very
Catherine
clear.
has one comment.
Just through the chair. I do agree with Megan. I think it's better if you two present everything, but I also feel very strongly and agree with Chris on, because of, it's a joint project, right? And I feel like there's so much that the schools are asking for between the high school project and Fox Hill and everything else. It would be nice if we can convince someone from rec to just show up and be there for you and be supportive of it, because again, I don't want it to come off as if it's just our project. It's a community project. It's something that, they need to support and be a part of and say, yeah, this is needed. Again, I want it to be something that people understand it is a joint, not just us saying it is, not just our subcommittee saying it is, somebody from rec coming in.
Voted on it, right?
Right.
So, if I may, to the chair, so we're missing several critical path pieces of information here to make this a reality, right? Number one is we haven't done what Ways and Means has asked us to do and coalesce a list of projects for parks, fields, infrastructure. And, I brought it up a few times in committee here, so we need to do that, because I think that's going to be the biggest challenge that Ways and Means is going to look at us and go, well, last year you talked about you're going to have a list with recreation. That's because they've had their master field plan, we have our master plan, and we're supposed to coalesce those two lists and come up with priority of projects. That has not been done yet, and I think we're going to get beat up over that. Also, Rec just had their meeting on the 28th, so yesterday. And I don't know if there's time to have them vote on that. I can certainly reach out to them and.
Who's the chair?
Lindsay Carlson. Lindsay Carlson.
Oh, okay.
And then I can reach out to Brendan, just get their take on it. But again, it's not something the rec committee can vote on. Usually we meet right before a town meeting. So we may be able to put that on the agenda. I'll speak with Brendan and see what we can do. But we're at the 11th hour voting on things, and I don't know if that's really the best way to.
Was the bathroom project on any list from what Rec came up with?
Thank you, through the chair, because that's exactly what I was just going to chime in on. So I have met with Brendan. While it has not been voted by this committee and/or the Recreation Committee, we have gone through those lists. What has been decided already are the first three priorities. Two of them have already taken place: Varsity Field resurface, Francis Wyman Baseball Field, and then Marshall Simons. The fact that Marshall Simons was split into two fields, Marshall Simons project as a totality did include bathroom, or the necessity for bathrooms. It included added a multi-surface field, and it included the resurface of that. So while it's a combination of the above, and definitely there's parts that we could leave out if we so choose to, those priorities, again, are in the order, and we're following that order. Where we choose to move next year or in other parts of the project and how deep we go into those recommendations is something that we will have to jointly work on as far as making those requests. But again, part of that conversation was the potential of maybe the town bringing on a separate fund to have, let's say, a pocket of money every year that would go towards some of these projects. That conversation has not happened yet either. So this is still in that gray area of, right, we're asking for a continuation of the Marshall Simons field renovation project from last year with bathrooms and resurface of the turf.
And to be clear, I support all this. I just think we need to present a really strong case and have those ducks in a row before we get in front of town meeting and take many suggestions, we'll say.
So we'll be ready for Ways and Means, right?
Sure.
Is it, do I have Chris's hand up?
Oh, yeah, it is. No, is your hand up, Chris?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris, I just sent you a request to unmute.
You can just unmute.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, I just wanted to reiterate what Jeremy just said, is that we would be expecting to ask those questions that he did just say. And I would implore, if there's any way to have recreation there, that is what we also discussed in the Education Subcommittee meeting. I think one of the issues we continue to do is, great, we put awesome projects forward, but don't PR it, and so do our public relations of these are joint projects. And as a father who has a daughter who plays youth soccer and soon to be youth lacrosse, those are not funded through the town per se, but they'll use those facilities. And I think the unified front, if this is to pass, really needs to be shown through these, not just presented through the schools.
So see if you can get some support from Rec.
I'm happy to bring it to them. Like I said, I'll send some emails up, see what we get back.
If I could add, maybe we can get some youth sports groups to be in town meeting support as well.
Oh, don't go there. On the side. I think bathrooms, everybody knows we need bathrooms. I think it'll be easier to sell in the field, but that's just my opinion.
I agree. Revenue, right there. Yeah. All right, does anyone else have any old business or new?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, chair votes aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.